How's it going, everybody? I'm the BTC Reaper. My goal on this channel is to teach you how to reap the rewards of trading, whether price is going up or down. Yield generating stablecoin USDR loses peg and plummets to 50 cents. Stablecoins are designed to maintain price parity with relatively stable assets, including fiat currencies like US dollars. When stablecoins lose their peg, it's usually due to the instability of the asset reserves backing their token, or a failure to satisfy holder redemption requests as they come in. It's an ongoing situation, said Jay Sine, co-founder and CEO of Tangible, the group behind this stablecoin, to Decrypt when asked about what caused the Depeg. We'll have announcements soon about the postmortem and real estate liquidations to replenish DAI to make users whole. So basically, real estate's going under and the housing market's about to drop, which caused their asset to drop. USDR boasts an unusual reserve composition featuring tokenized real estate. Besides acting as a dollar substitute, the coin promises holders a yield using rental revenue derived from such real estate holdings. So maybe they had to sell off and they don't have quite as much real estate holdings, therefore less yield. FTX tie prostitutes and Chinese bribes. Caroline Ellison drops explosive allegations. Collapsed crypto exchange FTX tried to recover frozen funds from Alameda Research by using accounts registered to tie prostitutes, ex-Alameda Research CEO Caroline Ellison told jurors today. FTX insiders tapped the sex workers in a bid to try and reclaim $1 billion worth of frozen funds by the Chinese government. Ellison further alleged that the identities of the Thai prostitutes were found by Sam Tribunko, former co-CEO of Alameda. Alameda often used accounts on other cryptocurrency exchanges, Ellison said, and its funds were frozen by Chinese governments in response to a money laundering investigation that did not involve Alameda, the court was told. A lawyer in China was hired to try and get the funds unfrozen, but they were unsuccessful. After that failed attempt, the team decided to send approximately $150 million in assets to wallets that they believed were Chinese officials, but turned out to not be. Over on price, we are trying to make a bounce off this support level, so that is good for us for our Dixie. If we can make a strong, solid bounce off here, we will continue up. We do keep wicking through support though, so if we continue to keep hitting this support and we do not get any liftoff, it is very likely that this lower EMA is going to cross this other EMA and bring us down. The money flow is starting to taper out. VWAP is coming down in the bearish territory. RSI is heading down. Our momentum's coming down. And the stochastic is as beat down as it can be. So it may ride out this area for some time. If it stays down here, that RSI is set up for further downside, which could bring us even lower. With that VWAP maintaining bearish action, if we break below this 14, which we're attempting to, we could see continual price action down. However, if we see this start to round, we may get a bit of a push, try to come to resistance, and we'll have to watch if we get a higher high or a lower high. If we get a lower high, we will continue our bear trend and see this level break. However, if our VWAP makes a new high above this 5-6 zone, then we could see price action start to resume to the bullish side. Over on total, we are starting to reject our EMA. We are pushing even lower. Our RSI and stochastic are falling down pretty harsh. Our money flows overall pushing out. The VWAP is in a bearish trend as we're getting lower highs with lower lows. It is trying to get a little bit of a recovery here though. So if we can come up and break through this 14 to about 11 zone, then we could get some bullish action. However, if we get rejected somewhere in here, we would set another lower high, which could drag us even lower. Momentum is falling due to that VWAP being bearish. If that VWAP doesn't pick up, the momentum's likely going to stay in this bearish territory. With our other indicators pushing down, that money flow is coming out. Over on Bitcoin dominance, we're getting a pretty harsh rejection here. I did not mean to move that line. Pretty harsh rejection. This is a pretty textbook candle pattern. Bit bigger red candle than expected, but this is what it's trying to warn you to watch for. Stochastic's starting to push out. RSI is starting to push away. Momentum's starting to push away. We have a double red dot here. So if we see a red candle tomorrow, that'll confirm a bearish trend, and we will likely break this support level and not see continual push up on Bitcoin dominance. Momentum's starting to round away as our VWAP has broken into that bearish territory, and our money flow is starting to push away, suggesting that people are selling off more Bitcoin than they are buying right now. Over on our futures, we got a little bit of a green candle, nothing too great. This is kind of what we were watching for. This is kind of that hang up I was talking about. If we start to push out from here, we have made a little bit of a bounce after pushing for some consecutive days, so that could try to save us and bring us even lower without the need for a strong rebound. If we do not make a good retest off this support though, and we break through it, we're likely not going to get any kind of bounces. If we do make some bullish moves around this support level, after filling this gap, we could see a pretty decent move. I would expect at least one more touch of the upside here, but that would set us sideways and invalidate this double bottom possibility. That double bottom wanted to bring us up, but it's not looking too likely anymore. So I'm going to get rid of that right now. I believe that was part of it. So now we just have the bear flag. Over on Bitcoin, we are breaking back into our previous pattern. We're breaking all of our EMAs. If we get a red candle tomorrow, that would confirm a push within this pattern and a push out of our golden pocket. Stochastic's starting to round away, RSI is falling down, our momentum is pushing down, the VWAP is getting strong bearish momentum, and the money flow is pushing out because everything else is selling off. So this shows that we have more sell pressure in the medium and long term than we do any buying pressure. The VWAP is your medium trend, the money flow is more of your long term trend. So keep that in mind. Over on the 4 hour, you can see we're trying to get a retest of resistance. If we get rejected by this resistance, it is very likely we will come back down to support, and we could see this pattern still play out, which is the reason we did not get rid of it. RSI is overall sliding, Stochastic's overall sliding, money flow is pushing in the bearish territory, our VWAP is getting higher lows and wants to break through this neutral though. So I would keep close attention to this VWAP. If it breaks through here and gets a new high above this like 5.7 zone, 5.7 zone, then we could see continued bullish action. However, if this VWAP gets rejected here and stops short, then we're likely going to continue to push out. Over on the 2 hour here, we are going back and forth with bulls and bears. We're trying to break this EMA. The EMA is starting to curl up. So if it can continue to curl up, that may be indicative of a move upwards. Stochastic is trying to push up. RSI wants to push up. We have a bullish divergence on our stochastic that wants to bring us up. Our money flow is in a deep bearish trend. Our VWAP is struggling to get higher highs right here. So if we're not able to break above this 8.8 zone and see a higher high, then we won't have a bullish trend and we could come back down and create a bearish trend. So I would watch out for that possibility. That is going to heavily depend on if this 1 hour maintains any kind of bullish strength, which we don't have any. We do, however, have this stair-stepping action going on, so I would watch if we get a couple green candles after this red candle that would try to push us toward this resistance area. If we do not get continued green candles after that, then we are likely going to reject this resistance and see price action to the downside resume. Our stochastic's overall pushing out, starting to curl away. Our VWAP is in the bullish territory, but it's starting to round away, so we could just confirm a bearish trend here if we make a lower low on our VWAP. Our money flow is maintaining bearish strength. We are kind of just zigzagging around, but we are maintaining in the red. Our momentum is pretty deep in the bearish territory. It did reject a bullish divergence that wanted to bring us up. That's why I told you, you will see those, but they don't always necessarily mean they're going to push you back up. Over on graph for the daily, we could have a potential double bottom here if we get some green candles, but I wouldn't get too filled with hope. RSI is overall pushing out, stochastics overall pushing away. That money flow is starting to reject into the bearish territory. Our view up is meeting some resistance around the 7, so if it's not able to break above here, we could start a new bearish trend with that. Momentum is pushing down, so I would watch lower time frames very closely. Over on the 4 hour, you see that bear flag we had did play out. It got about half of its break, so we may not see it play out anymore. I'm going to delete it at this point. We are trying to come up and get this resistance, so if we can break through, we may be able to continue and push forward. We're going to have to kind of watch. I'll just make this a different color so it's easier to tell that it's from something else. Stochastic is starting to push up. RSI is overall pushing out though. So if the stochastic starts to round away here like it's starting to suggest, then the RSI's push to the upside may get suppressed and we may see a drop away from this neutral. That view up is in the bullish territory, but it's kind of weak here. If it doesn't get some decent pickup from here, we are likely going to reject and start another bearish trend here. Momentum does have a double green dot that wants to push us forward, but overall it was pushing out pretty strongly and the money flow is pushing down pretty decently. If this money flow doesn't start to reverse with the view up and momentum starting to reverse, then it is likely we're going to see continued bearish action as we have strong bearish strength right now. Over on the 2 hour, you see we tried to retest our EMA and we are starting to reject it. That could be indicative of price action to the downside if we get continued red candles from here. Now stochastic is starting to round away, RSI is starting to push off, our VWAP is starting to lose strength in the bullish territory. We are making a bit of a lower high here, so I would watch out if we get a lower low, as that would start another bearish trend. Momentum's overall pushing out. It does have a double green dot that wants to push us forward, as our VWAP did cross that neutral, but with it starting to, the VWAP starting to taper off here, that green dot may be in jeopardy. Over on the 1 hour, our stochastic's starting to stretch pretty thin and starting to round away, so I would watch out. RSI is starting to push away. We have a pretty textbook rounding top here. Our money flow is pushing that neutral. Momentum's starting to push away. So we're not looking the greatest here on the hourly. If we get a red candle after this candle, that will confirm a bearish trend. And we could see these wicks or lower price action. Especially since we do have that price target of around 6.5 cents. Over on Anchor on the daily, we are breaking our support level after going kind of flat, so we are set up for further downside without the need to push up. Our stochastic's starting to round away, RSI is starting to round away, momentum's starting to come down, money flow is testing that neutral, and our VWAP is getting higher lows, so that is good for us, but with price coming down, that may not last too long. We'll have to see how these lower time frames are looking for that. Over on the 4 hour, you can see we keep trying to hit this resistance. We did get rejected by it, and we're trying to push down. If we don't get a strong green candle, either with this green candle or the next, then it is very likely we could see a red candle push us down. If it's a kind of topping candle like right here, then we could see another drop down and a flush out. Our stochastic is trying to push forward, but our RSI is overall losing strength. As the stochastic starts to round away, we could see further downside. Now VWAP is in the bullish territory, making a new high. That is good for us as we made a new low, so we could have a bullish trend going, but we're going to need to break resistance to confirm that. Our momentum does want to come up, and our money flow is starting to push out. So that momentum's pushing up because the VWAP's pushing bullish, and the money flow is overall trending up as we are trying to pick up some bullish strength with this VWAP and momentum here. If that VWAP and momentum start to fall away though, that money flow is likely to resume selling action and we will resume our bearish trend. Over on the 2 hour, we did kind of reject our resistance here. around that neutral on our money flow. So if we continue to slide out and make a new low, we are likely going to see price action push to the downside pretty decently. Our stochastic is trying to make higher highs and push our RSI up with a bullish divergence, but with the selling pressure we have forming, that could be in jeopardy of ending up just rounding away. That little green candle there could be all we had. Now VWAP is meeting resistance around this 12 zone. It's met resistance there a few times before, so if we're not able to push through, we're likely going to reject this area and see this EMA break and lower price action after that. Over on the 1 hour, you can see our EMAs do want to cross, but we are getting a bit of a red candle here. If we get another red candle after this, it is very likely we're going to see that EMA reject the other EMA and push down. Stochastic is starting to get a bearish cross that wants to drop us down, so this RSI slight push to the upside may be in jeopardy. Our money flow is meeting resistance at this 9.5 zone. If we're not able to push up and get a new high here, our money flow could start a bit of a bearish trend if we start some sort of a lower low. It wouldn't be hard to get much of a lower low as we kind of just peaked in the bearish territory, and then beyond that would be sufficient. Our momentum is coming up with a green dot, but with that VWAP starting to fall back down, that momentum is in jeopardy. If these start to fall, that money flow is going to follow. Over on XRP for the daily, we are rejecting our support here for our flag as well. We are confirming a bit of a breakdown, and we pushed pretty close to that value area low like I warned. We do have a little bit more room if we don't hold this like 48,351 zone, then our next move would likely be around this 47,289. If we are not able to push off those zones, we're likely going to retest the value area low, at which point if we break it, we are likely going to come back up for a retest, and if we reject that retest, we'll see those lower price targets. Our stochastic's pushing out, RSI is pushing away, our money flow is losing strength, that VWAP is pushing down, and the momentum is gaining bearish strength as our VWAP is pushing down. If that VWAP can cross bullish, that would be positive, but we are pretty deep in the bearish territory right now. I would look to the lower time frames to see if our VWAP will return to bullish action. On the 4 hour, we are meeting some resistance with VWAP at this 6.7 zone, so if we're not able to break here, we're going to reject this EMA and see lower price targets. Stochastic is starting to round away, and our RSI would be in jeopardy of getting a bit of a lower high here if that stochastic starts to push down. Now VWAP is trying to get some bullish strength after dipping in the bearish territory, but it's not looking too good right now as we're meeting that resistance. Now money flow is heavy in the bearish territory, and we do have that bullish divergence, but again, like the one for Bitcoin yesterday, they're not always guaranteed to play out. That did cross over though from the 2 hour and 1 hour, I believe, so that is a pretty decent sign that could play out. Our stochastic is trying to push forward, but it's starting to round away, so I would keep a close eye on it. Our RSI is continuing up, but as that stochastic crosses that neutral, this move to the upside might not last too many more candles. Our VWAP is pushing higher, gaining a bit of momentum, so that is good for us, but we're at a bit of a high spot meeting resistance at this 10 where we've seen several drops in recent history before, so I would keep a close eye on that. Now momentum is getting higher lows with that double green dot playing out as that VWAP's maintaining bullish action, but with us meeting that resistance, that could be all we have, and we may see it start to edge away, so I would keep an eye on that, and we may see lower price target as a result, kind of like the trend has been going. The VWAP on the 1 hour for XRP is pushing pretty decent. We are taking a bit of a pump, but we're meeting some resistance right around this 15. We have met resistance here a few times, or at least close to this time, several times before, and we've rejected almost every time since. So I would watch out, pay close attention to this money flow here. If this money flow can cross bullish, then we're going to maintain bullish strength, and that could give us a strong push to the upside. However, if we cross bullish and it's like back here, that could be indicative of another leg down and us seeing that lower price target that I've been warning about. Over on the daily for algo, we are trying to push support. We're a little bit confused. We don't know where we want to go. This is a bit of a bullish test, so we could be setting up for further downside like the rest of the market. Stochastic is pushing out. RSI is losing strength. VWAP is in a bearish territory with a bearish trend, and our money flow is pushing down into that bearish territory. I would watch the lower time frames. If they continue to be weak, we're likely going to push even lower now and break this support level, as most our indicators are in the bearish territory on the daily. So that's a pretty big deal. Over on the 4 hour, we are trying to make a bounce off our support, but we're meeting some resistance where we kind of chopped previously. If we are not able to break through this and break through this EMA level with strength, we are likely going to see a rejection of this pattern. Stochastic is starting to round away. RSI wants to push forward, but it's kind of struggling as that stochastic is starting to lose strength. That VWAP is pushing off the neutral with some decent strength, so I would keep a close eye on the lower time frames. If they maintain bullish action for the VWAP, this could continue, and we could see a pretty decent push, at least to resistance. We have met that resistance several times before though, so it is highly likely this pattern can play out now. Momentum does want to come up as our VWAP's pushing bullish, but again, watch the lower time frames. Over on the 2 hour, we are kind of struggling to break this EMA. We'll want to watch our next candle very closely. We're just above it. If we get a red candle after this that rejects it, we could start another bearish trend like back here when we rejected our lower EMA. Stochastic is trying to push higher. RSI is trying to push forward. Our VWAP is meeting some resistance here, so that could be indicative of a double top that could push us lower and break this support. Money flow is maintaining strong bearish territory, so if it doesn't break above this 7.5 or even this 4.5 zone, then we're likely not going to resume any bullish action and we could just fall to the bearish side. Momentum is trying to push forward with that VWAP pushing, but again, I would watch out. This could just be a little bit of a retest, a bit of a bounce, as we did drop pretty drastically. Stochastic is starting to round away here on the 1 hour. You can see we're still meeting that resistance. Here it's on a higher EMA. Our EMA for our lower EMAs, we do have a bullish cross that wants to continue us up, but with the way we've been stair-stepping up, there's likely going to be retracement. So unlike our other coins where we're getting this kind of sideways chop that's setting us up for continual price action down, this is trying to set a rampant run up, which when you get those, you get rampant run downs. Stochastic starting to push down, that is starting to lose strength. RSI is getting a red dot, starting to curl out, so both these want to drop pretty simultaneously. Momentum is trying to pick up, but the VWAP is starting to push down. We are meeting resistance around this 15 zone, where we've met resistance in the past and started that other break to the downside. If that happens, we're likely going to set that double top that could break us down. The money flow is starting to reject away from this neutral, kind of flattening out here and curling, so I would keep close eye on the VWAP and momentum. If they maintain bullish strength, this money flow can cross forward. However, as they start to push away here, the money flow is just going to continue in its bearish trend that it's been in for a few hours. Let's say October 9th, about 2-3 days. So a few days now. So we could resume this trend if we see money flow start to dip further. Over on Doge, we are starting our breakdown that I've been warning about, so I'm going to remove this bullish possibility as any kind of saving moves we had did reject. We are rejecting this EMA level, so that could show that we could push lower, as we did try to cross our higher EMA and we did reject. Stochastic's pushing away, RSI's pushing out, money flows rejecting that bullish cross, VWAP's pushing a bearish trend, and our momentum is pushing out. So overall, the daily is not looking too great here. Hopefully that didn't catch you off guard, as I have been warning that we do have more bearish possibility than bullish. Over on the 4-hour here, we're getting some sideways chop that's dropping us down. We're trying to get a retest of that support area, so if we're able to break above these candles that we have right here, we could see price action to the upside resume. However, if we start to pull away here, it is very likely we'll see more of this flag play out. Our stochastic is starting to curl away. It does want to get pushed to the upside, but it's not looking too great right now. VWAP is trying to break this neutral. It wants to gain some bullish strength, so I would keep a close eye on it. If it can break through and maintain, that would be good for us. That money flow is pushing this bearish territory and starting to overall curl away. It can't really get above this 5 zone, so if we see a lower low here, that could push us lower and we could get a pretty decent break to the downside. Momentum's starting to push off as well, but it does want to get a bit of a rebound as that VWAP is trying to cross that neutral, so I would watch the lower time frame. Over on the 2-hour here for Doge, RSI is pushing up. Stochastic has a bullish cross. Our VWAP is trying to get a higher high, so we could start a bullish trend here. I would watch this EMA here, that blue EMA, see if we can break through it. If we can and we break through the yellow, then we may be set up to see some decent moves up. Now momentum does have a double green dot that wants to push us forward, as that VWAP is pushing a new high, but I would just keep an eye on it, watch the lower time frames. If this money flow maintains this bearish strength, then this could just be a short-lived hype pump and we could just see it fade away. Over on the 1-hour, we are starting to reject that other EMA, so that's not too good for continual moves up. Our RSI does want to run up. Our stochastic's trying to push up, but it's looking a little dicey, like it wants to roll away. Our VWAP is trying to maintain bullish strength. It is meeting resistance around this 13-14 area, where we have seen it break from before. Our money flow is in the bullish territory though, so with the VWAP and money flow being bullish, that could push us up, but that money flow is starting to kind of taper off already, so that's a little worrisome. If that money flow continues to round away and breaks this neutral, we would be in jeopardy of seeing another leg to the downside. Over on SHIB, we are starting to break this flag and push lower. Stochastic and RSI are dropping together. That stochastic's pretty beat down, so if it doesn't get any kind of rebound, this RSI is likely going to break this neutral at this 30, and we could see further bearish action from there. That VWAP is starting to get lower high, so I would watch out if we get a lower low, as that would start a bearish trend that could help play the rest of this flag out. That momentum is coming down as our VWAP isn't maintaining any bullish strength, and the money flow is pushing out pretty strongly, making a bearish trend. Money flow could make a bounce here as it did drop very rapidly, but we don't look too good if this VWAP doesn't manage to break above this like 7 zone where it's kind of sticking right now, as we did meet resistance here several times before. If we get stopped out by that, that could show that we may see further downside. Over on the 4-hour, you can see we had a little bit of just sideways chop and then a drastic drop. This is a bit of a down channel that could end up having a retracement, so we may see short-term pumps after this. Our stochastic is starting to round away. It is overall again bearish divergence, so as price action sliding while stochastic runs up. So, or actually that's bullish divergence and it's not highlighting, as bullish divergences make more of a triangle and they push together, and bearish divergence they make more of a like open mouth that just spits out. Money flow is rejecting away from that neutral. VWAP is in the bearish territory. It is in danger of starting a bearish trend here. If we get a lower high, then we could see everything just push lower. Momentum's getting a red dot, but that could see a green dot if the VWAP pushes up. I would watch the lower time frames very closely here. Over on the 2-hour, we're struggling to get any kind of push above this 4 or 5 zone. So if we're not able to break through, we're likely going to see continual chop to the downside. Our RSI is pretty choppy as that stochastic's not really gaining any strength. The money flow is starting to push away, and the momentum is starting to round away as well. We have a double green dot that wants to carry us forward, but with that VWAP kind of hiccuping here, we may see that be short-lived. Over on the 1 hour, we are trying to push up pretty decently. We did get a little bit of a stop and then continual move up. So we'll have to see if we can break this other EMA to break like this resistance area and continue forward. Stochastic is trying to push forward. RSI wants to run up. Our VWAP is in the bullish territory, but it's starting to push sideways, so I would keep a close eye on it. If our VWAP comes up around this 12 zone, 13 zone, and it starts to reject away, that is likely where we're going to see continued downside. Now, money flow does look like it could try to break through that neutral, and it might get a bit of a rejection like back here, but I would keep a close eye on it. It is starting to round away, so we could see continued downside without any kind of bullish cross. The momentum does have a double green dot that wants to continue to push us forward, but with the way the VWAP's looking, that could be short-lived. Thank you for watching tonight's video. I hope you have a wonderful night.